You've probably seen those videos talking about remote jobs where you can earn a lot and work from anywhere. And they usually talk about the same things: drop shipping, starting an AI business, or this whole thing with building a personal brand. Yeah, those could work. But while everyone is chasing AI startups or the next fancy thing that's got all the hype around it, the real money is still made by people doing boring, repeatable work for businesses that just needs those things done. So in this video, I'll share with you the 6 boring but high-paying remote jobs that could allow you to earn a good full-time income while being able to work from home or live anywhere you choose. And at the end, I'll rank these jobs based on what's best for beginners and also the highest income potential. The reason why you should consider switching to a remote job if you haven't already is not just because you can finally enjoy being in the comfort of your own home, save money and time on commuting, and maybe spend more time with your dogs. That is, if you have dogs, but if not, you're kind of missing out. But anyway, having a remote job opens up the opportunity for you to move and live in a cheaper city or even a different country altogether. That was part of the reason why I decided to move to Bali, to increase the quality of my life while lowering my monthly expenses at the same time. The first remote job that you could consider is to become a remote tech specialist. This is basically the person the company calls when something breaks or isn't working. Now, you don't even need to know everything. Of course, having some tech knowledge would help, but I think you can do this job pretty well as long as you're good at figuring things out. I've never told anyone this, but one of my first jobs early on was as some sort of an IT specialist. It sounds like a serious job with serious responsibilities, but most of the time, I was basically just Googling for solutions to troubleshoot issues with the team's computers, and I got paid for it. And this was before the age of ChatGPT and AI, so I had to do it the old-fashioned way, which is to actually search for things on Google to find the solutions. But seriously though, you can find solutions to pretty much anything through short-form videos or just by asking ChatGPT or Claude. And that's literally how most people do it. The companies that hire you usually wouldn't care exactly how you get the job done, as long as you're able to resolve their issues. They just want someone to do it. And I found plenty of job listings online for a remote tech specialist that pays around $60K a year, and even some that pay up to $100,000 a year. The next remote job is becoming a remote customer service coordinator. This one might seem extremely boring, but it pays relatively well. Your job would basically be replying to customer emails and DMs, handling any inquiries or complaints, and just making sure customers get attended to and don't end up getting ignored or overlooked. This is an important role in many businesses, especially small businesses, because they're slow to respond sometimes, or they might even forget to reply and end up losing customers. I can attest to this myself because for some of the clients that I work with in my marketing agency, a lot of them have this issue with leaving their customer DMs and inquiries unattended. So if you're the type of person who tends to respond fast and can keep things organized, you instantly become valuable. And this is one of the easiest ways to transition into working remotely without needing any crazy skills or any special certifications. And a job like this can earn you anything between 60 all the way up to 85 grand a year, which isn't too shabby. The next remote job is a big one. It's similar to being a customer service coordinator, but this one pays way better, and that is to become a remote sales associate or sales coordinator. This is a big opportunity, especially in boring industries like home improvement. You know, small local businesses that sell home improvement products. Those kind of businesses make serious money and they rely heavily on leads. So your role is not even just to sell anything. You basically have to organize the leads they have, follow up with them, and just make sure no opportunity gets wasted. Because there are so many businesses that's just sitting on hundreds of missed messages and lost deals. Just like the client that I work with, which I shared earlier. So if you can fix that for them, you're directly tied to their revenue. So you can expect a salary of 70 to 80K a year and possibly earn even more if you negotiate for a commission for the sales that you're able to close. All right, but if sales and customer service just isn't quite your thing, then the next one might be interesting for you. And that's to become a social media content manager, specifically for short form content. If you're someone who spends a lot of time scrolling on social media and you're always on top of the latest trends, then this would be the perfect opportunity for you to get paid for your skill and knowledge. Pretty much every company out there needs help with putting out regular content on social media. But again, most small business owners don't know how, which creates a huge opportunity. And in fact, you can actually use AI to help you with creating a lot of the content now. There are so many powerful AI tools today, like you can get ChatGPT or Claude to come up with the ideas or write scripts, and then Nano Banana to generate images for your post, Kling to generate high quality realistic videos, and 11 Labs to create voiceovers if you need them. So your job primarily will be just just to organize everything and make sure it all looks good on the output. You don't even really need to create anything from scratch. So to break it down simply, you don't need to have your face on camera at all. You just got to come up with the content ideas, plan what gets posted, manage the flow of content, and make sure it all looks good. Because this role is tied to the company's growth, businesses are often willing to pay a premium for it. In fact, there are job listings for social media managers that pay up to almost 100 grand a year. Plus, there's also growth potential where this role could later evolve into you becoming a more senior content strategist, a brand manager, or with the experience you have, you could even possibly start your own agency. But if posting on social media isn't quite your thing, then you might prefer the next job. And this next remote job is one that most people don't even know exists, but it's actually one of the most stable remote jobs out there right now. It's called a content risk reviewer, or sometimes content moderator, where your job is to basically review content and decide whether or not it should be allowed on a platform and whether it violates a platform's guidelines. Every single platform you use, from TikTok, Instagram, or YouTube, they're dealing with millions of posts every single day, but not all of it is safe or appropriate for the platform. So yes, while there's technology and AI systems in place to screen and filter through all these posts, there's still a need for a human review in some cases for a real person to make the final decision. And today, there are more and more creators, more ads, and even more platforms than ever before, which means there are more and more content for you to review. That means demand for this role isn't gonna go away anytime soon, even with all the advancements in AI. And you can expect a salary of between 50 to 60K a year. So this isn't one of those crazy high income jobs, but it is stable and consistent for sure. In fact, for beginners, this might be one of the easiest roles to get into because there are no advanced skills required and training is usually provided to you. So as long as you can follow instructions, you could probably do this job. But I'll be honest though, for me, it's not the most exciting work. I think it can feel repetitive and be quite mentally draining, so I know this is definitely not something for me personally. Plus, while it's a stable job, it's just not very scalable. But it still could be useful for you in the grand scheme of your life where you're trying to build your wealth. Because I came across this quote online that goes something along the lines of, find yourself a lazy job where you're just required to do the very bare minimum, because this can then give you the time and space to pursue your own thing, to actually build your own wealth, like starting a business or a side hustle outside of your job. And if you combine having a lazy remote job with moving somewhere cheaper, that unlocks a truly powerful combo where you can really lock in and focus on growing your income overall. Anyway, the next remote job you could consider starting is to become a video editor. Again, like we talked about earlier, every business wants to put out content. There are more and more content creators online now, and they all would need help with video editing. But most people would not want to sit there for hours editing their own videos, because for them, they'd rather focus on the higher leverage task, like filming the videos. So instead of doing it themselves, they'd often much rather just pay someone else to take that off of their plate. And video editing for social media today is super simple. You could even start with a free app like CapCut. And as long as you're able to cut the clips, remove any pauses or mistakes, add some captions, then that's often good enough to start. Of course, depending on your skill level, you might be able to earn over 80 grand a year. And most clients for video editing wouldn't even really care too much about fancy effects and transitions. What they really care about is speed, reliability, and it'd be a plus point if you have a good sense of pacing when cutting the clips together. So now, if I had to rank these remote jobs based on which is the most beginner friendly, I would say at the bottom of the list, it has got to be a social media manager, just because it entails many components, and so I don't think it's the best option for beginners. And the next would be a video editor, just because there are nuances and it does require some technical skills. So if you're a total complete beginner, then this might not be the best option. Following that, the next one up on the list would be a tech support specialist, because again, even though you could pretty much Google everything, it still might require some degree of tech knowledge. Then moving up, a sales coordinator might actually be a more suitable job option for a new beginner, simply because it doesn't require as much technical skills. Then coming up at number 2, we have customer service coordinator. This is even simpler than being a sales coordinator, because your job isn't tied to any particular outcome and you don't have to deal with the pressures of trying to close a sale. And finally, at the top spot, the best remote job for a completely new beginner is a content risk reviewer. This might be almost a mind-numbing job where you're just looking at content to be reviewed all day, but in my my opinion, this might actually be one of the best remote work opportunities that literally anyone can start doing. But after knowing all of this, if you'd still rather stick to your current job and instead just start a side hustle to make some extra money, make sure to watch this video where I share 6 realistic side hustles that can make you serious money without you having to quit your job. I hope you found value from this video. If you did, please drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. For now, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.